Well, the excitement that is the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders heads into week two with a 1-0 start. And it was a game that not a lot of people expected. And now they're looking to add to that. They face a Nebraska team that is looking to figure things out. Last week was not a good start for them and not a good performance offensively. And now they face a team in Colorado that is flying high and is hoping to go 2-0 to build even more momentum and raise the hype that is already incredibly almost out of hand, but really fun to watch. So, what does Nebraska need to do to slow this team down? There's a lot of things that need to happen for the things to go right, but we'll talk about some of those things today. And we'll start with the Colorado side of things. Colorado, now what do you do after that? After a huge game and a huge win and a surprising win for a lot of people in college football. How do you back that up? How do you follow that up? And Dion has already focused his team on that was really exciting. There are things we need to work on. Let's move on. So now what do you do? This week might tell us more. Now that you have, one game sample size is never something you should draw conclusions from. But now you have two games under your belt. You can at least get a little bit better idea of where this program is going. And right now it's going in a great direction. So now that they're the favorite, now what? The line started out as on DraftKings, I saw it was a 3 points for Colorado. So how do you handle life as the favorites? How do you handle life as the favorites going against a team that is still trying to figure things out? And I think for one thing for Nebraska, the involvement of Jeff Sims early will determine a lot for Nebraska. He was obviously very up and down against Minnesota. One thing that we did see was his legs clearly are still an elite portion of his game, something that will get Nebraska extra yards. But you have to find ways to get him involved in the passing attack. Last week was not a good performance for him, a lot of miscues. And I think some of that was still getting used to his new system, getting comfortable with his offensive line, the protection that he finally did see. And now he gets a chance to settle down. He got a chance to look at the film and know what he needs to do. I think that he's still super talented. The ability is still there. It's just that you have to be able to do it in the game. And you're going against a Colorado team that Dion himself said did not have a great defensive performance. Now they did have some moments where you saw some interceptions and whatnot, so that was really good. But also there were some times where they did not make a ton of. I gave up 42 points, so it's not like they were elite by any means. So that's definitely something that needs to get better. And the stars are really going to be what steps up for Colorado and determines a lot about where this game goes. Shadur Sanders had a phenomenal game, broke a school record, as we all know. And Travis Hunter played 100 plus snaps on offense and defense, and he played well. And for a guy who, honestly, I was very surprised that he played as well as he did and played as many snaps as he did. This is week one. You maybe expect him to play less snaps than that, but he was obviously up for the challenge. He was ready to go, and he is arguably the best college football player right now. That includes guys like Caleb Williams, so that's saying something. There's definitely a debate for that, but the star power for Colorado probably will determine a lot about how this game turns out. For Nebraska, I think you played well defensively at times, and I think that this is a group that will have a big impact on this game. Colorado knows how to score points, and if Nebraska can take care of the football and create turnovers, then I think you're in a good place. And that's something that TCU wasn't exactly great at, but Nebraska showed that against Minnesota, they could at least play some decent defense where that keeps them in the game, and they can do the same thing if they're able to create some turnovers and limit turnovers on their end. I think the thing that killed them the most against Minnesota was the turnovers. And yes, a lot of that is on Jeff Sims, but I believe that he can figure things out and he can improve. And that leads us to the quarterback battle. Jeff Sims, obviously, talked about him. I think that he has the talent to be able to make big plays, to be able to throw the ball deep and make life difficult for Colorado secondary. This is a Colorado secondary, though, that is very opportunistic so far and could pick him off once again if he's not careful. But like I said, he's had time to look at the film and figure things out, what he needs to improve, what he needs to do better, the reads that he makes, the decision making, all that stuff. So that'll be interesting to see how he bounces back from a tough performance. And then on the other side, how does Shadur build upon that momentum? Is he going to break his own school record? Is he going to continue shredding people. I mean, some of the throws he made were insane, honestly. If you go back and watch the film, he made a number of deep throws that were very accurate. And honestly, you don't see a ton of that from a lot of quarterbacks this year in college football. So how does he build upon that? How does he continue that success? And like I said, the star power is really where things will be determined. That's how we'll see which team will be better because of the star power. And right now, Colorado has a ton of it. We talked about Shadur Sanders. We talked about Travis Hunter. And I think that Dylan Edwards showed that he is going to be a problem for everyone in the near future. The freshman had a huge game for Colorado. So while everyone was focused on Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and for good reason, Dylan Edwards made a huge impact. Arguably could have been the X factor, if you will, for this team, because if he doesn't make a couple of those plays, maybe Colorado doesn't necessarily pull this one out. But there, like I said in the recap of this game, Dylan Edwards made a number of plays where you think that he's getting tackled, and then suddenly he's running 50 yards downfield, breaking tackles, and running away from TCU's defense. If he can do that again, then Colorado is in business. But it comes down to Nebraska and what they can do defensively. I'm not saying that they're in control, because Colorado's offense proved that it's a nightmare to stop, and there's so many guys you have to worry about. But if Nebraska can slow them down a little bit, that gives them a better chance than what we saw last week. And then obviously the X factor, we can talk about Jeff Sims all day with this game, because that's how much he plays a role in this game and in this outcome. And I think that it's tough to move on from a guy after 2 games, but maybe if you don't see something from him, you move on to Chuba Purdy, and maybe you move on to someone else. Maybe it's just not meant to be. And Jeff Sims, it's hard because he has so many tools that are really great, and he just needs a little bit of time to figure that out. But it's just, I don't know how much the coaching staff, how much of a leash they'll give him, how much they'll let him struggle and try to figure things out, because he is talented, but he also struggled mightily against a Gophers defense that was really good. Now he plays against a Colorado defense that isn't as stout, but they do have talented players. So he can't just expect to have success because this Colorado team is a perceived worst unit. You have to find a way to expose that defense, do what TCU did at times, and then just don't make the mistakes that TCU did or that you did last week. Take care of the football, get the playmakers involved, and I think that this will be an interesting game. The fact that it's only a 3-point spread right now tells me that there's something to like about Nebraska, even though they struggled last week. It's kind of surprising, but one thing I've learned from looking at lines is that you don't necessarily know everything. And you may think that this should be another blowout from Colorado, and it'd be easy to see why you think that. But at the same time, Nebraska is a tough group. Matt Rule knows how to coach teams, and he knows how to create programs that can win and pull off some upsets. And Nebraska fits into that category as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what this group can do, what Nebraska can do to hang out in this game and hang around as long as possible. But if you let Colorado's playmakers take a step forward and dominate this game, it will be a long game for Nebraska. So that'll be interesting. It'll be fun to watch how these teams respond to their very different results. And if Colorado wins this game by putting up another healthy amount of points, then we're looking at a team that is a serious problem, as if they weren't already, for the Pac 12.